After rebuilding our boat completely, we lived the dream. Living aboard Yabá was everything we hoped for. But the ocean has a way of showing you where you can be stronger, and we realized sailing her could be a lot better. So, 2 years later, we're back in the yard for our most daring upgrade yet, moving to a traditional gaff rig. To do it, we have to build everything from scratch. The boom, the gaffs, and the jaws. Join us today as we do our best to finish all of them. The moon is shifting and the tide is coming. That means Yabá needs to be out of the water very soon, but not before these are done. Last piece for today is going to be the tumbler. All the screws are in. This is going to have one screw going all the way through it. I'm probably going to strengthen the hole later on because you don't want this to be, well, this is moving. You don't want the threaded bar to be making the hole bigger and bigger and bigger every time it turns. But for now, let's get everything in place and we can only improve from there onwards. I think this is such a cool moment. Starting from the roof of our boat in Parati, where we were gluing planks together, to here has been a big journey. Now very, very happy that this is finished. It's going to be put on the boat a lot and off. This is going to be rounded. This is going to be extended, not outwards, but up in a corner so it doesn't unhook. That's another thing. Now this took a very long time because it's the first one I made. I think the next one will be a lot quicker because it's a lot less trialing. I'm very, very happy with how this looks, how it's fastened on with 2 3/8 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch screws for now. I don't know, super happy. Now I can see Nico over there is still making the other gaff perfectly round and smooth, which is really, really nice. So before moving on to the second one, I'm gonna extend the jaws, or the part that goes around the mast of this one. So when the gaff gets lifted up to 45 degrees, the jaws are almost horizontal still and don't slip off the mast. Same here, everything's a bit complicated when I explain it. Maybe that's just the way I explain stuff. Probably it's just the way I explain stuff. But once it's done, you'll see exactly what I mean. So if this is the gaff and this is the horn that goes around the mast, like so, what I would like to do is extend that upwards, like so. So when the gaff is on the mast at like a 45-degree angle, not only does it have the original piece like so, which you can see might not even reach the other side of the mast, but it will have the extension which will be horizontal. Now the joint itself, right now, this is the jaw, and I want to extend a piece on like that with a joint that goes inside. So this will be one piece of wood, and then a pin, a wooden pin through the top that holds it. Now whether that makes sense or not, that's a beautiful drawing in my opinion. I'm gonna do it and you'll see what I mean. You see, this is gonna be where the joint is. This is gonna go inside the other wood with a pin like so, maybe even longer. I might even cut it longer now. And then the jaw itself is gonna be nice and long like so. So let's get that cut. I'm going to test it out. I'm very happy with this, how it looks. I love the angle. We've chosen for a 45-degree angle from here to here, which is practically about as high as the gaff will get. There's a 45-degree angle. Now we need to be very clever with the next step when we bring this over to wood, because the grain is going to be very important here, because there's going to be a lot of sideways forces. We want the joint to be strong enough, but also we want the grain of this to allow this to be strong enough and not to snap. Now we need to go on a quest for a piece of wood in this shipyard that we can put this on, that this fits on with the grain.
As coisas utensílios que elas não têm lá. Aí, Marquinhos, onde você vai pegar? Marcou, te pegaram de jeito, Marcos.
I've made it so that the joint slots in like so, because the movement is going to be, well, the strength has to be sideways and not up and down. So very, very cool. Once I've made the other one, we can start joining these two together. Super, super strong. I think the gaff is so light that the heaviest part of the gaff is probably like this ash wood and the épée that I've been using over here. Either way, 1 out of 2. Now comes a part, or something I've never done before, and that is joining wood together. So the thing is, you want this groove that I'm going to cut in here to be so tightly cut that this should almost be hammered into place. And also the surface here has to be perfect with the surface there. and so on. Then once that's done, I'm going to drill a 1/2 inch hole in the side and a 1/2 inch hole in here, slightly offset, so when I hit a tree nail, whatever, a wooden peg through the side, it actually pulls this new piece against it while it's glued with epoxy. The dry rough work is finished on both of them. Nice and glued, or nice and touching on both sides. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get the wooden peg to go through the side, and once that's done we can glue everything in place. And now it's all very rough, and then we're just going to round everything nicely, and you'll see soon. You'll see the seam, or you'll see the joint, but it'll be very, very nice. Okay, let's get some sunshine. Even though it's nice in the shade, a bit of vitamin D is nice. Either way, got a square peg. Now we're gonna just grind it until it fits nicely from top to bottom in the hole we just made, and then this is gonna hold everything in place together with a bunch of epoxy. Now that we have both pieces and the pegs, Nico's been making some epoxy hardened with some very, very fine sawdust. So we're going to cover every surface inside this joint with that epoxy, and then we'll hammer this peg in, and that peg should not only help the glue hold, but it's also going to permanently stay there and keep the integrity of this piece. I'm very, very excited. As we're hammering the tree nail in, or the pin, more and more is squeezing out, which is very, very good news. Okay, that's number one. We're going to do the same with the other one, let them dry, and then we'll show you in a little bit how that goes. And I can't wait to say, here's one I made earlier. Big things are happening in the yard. Can you see us? There's the dinghy just hidden behind those massive steel boats. Now that is where the fishing boat was on. They are going to now pull that one to the side behind where those two guys are standing in between both boats, so that the red one can launch tomorrow or after tomorrow. What does that mean is the crib that the red boat is on is going to stay there, and that's when we're going to be lifted on. So Zeka's doing this cool maneuvering again. Even though it's an empty crib, it's always cool to see how they move a crib without wheels or crane or anything like this. That just this by itself probably weighs tons. Imagine with a boat on top, and imagine with our boat on top. I cannot wait.
cara. Vai acabar
Doing all this, moving all this around. I think the most we ever had at the shipyard, as a matter of fact, the boat I am on right now is in the exact place we were. If you remember us all finishing the painting and stuff, we were all on those banana trees as well. Lots of ants on the boat from those banana trees. Either way, the peak of boats, of amount of boats that were here when we were lifted, I think was 5. 1 here, us, 2 there, and then if I'm not mistaken, 2 down the middle here. It was nuts.
Alguém abre essa pra mim, por favor? A serra ainda dá, cara. Vai uma ali. Nossa, saúde. Boa, rapaziada.
The timing, in my opinion, has worked out perfectly. Somebody is going into the water and we're getting lifted tomorrow. And I'm very, very happy that we have managed to get the gaffs this far. Now, as you saw before, the first one was ready with the jaws on. I've just extended the jaws. That's going to be a bit of a cleaning job today. And the jaws of the second one are made and I just need to fasten them. The reason I'm very happy that these are done is when the boat's lifted, you kind of want to spend time on the boat and on the hull and on the engine and not on these. So just having that time in the water near the yard or attached to the yard has been massive, massive help. So this is quite nice and round. This isn't, and then the second set of jaws, forget it, they're totally not round. They're a little bit small because they're for a smaller sail, but they need to be cleaned up a lot. So let's get started. So these flat sides are ready, they are already mountable. Outsides here are nice and sanded. These outsides are going to be sanded and the tip here. As for the insides, I'm going to be putting it on and off the boat a lot to make sure this fits nicely before I round it. Because when you round it first, I then have to grind a bit away on the inside, then you have to round the side again and so on. So let's just wait until the boat's up here to actually get these fit, but I want to have them finished at least. Now the trick is you get a pencil, make sure you don't grind too much away, and you kind of want to draw a line a certain distance away from the edge on both sides. You're going to sand, and you want to sand down to that line. You don't want to go further. Then you round it and see how that matches. So I'll get this distance here and do exactly the same on this side over here. And then you take off that corner and do it bit by bit. So what we're left with after this is the outsides, very, very nicely rounded, and the insides, especially of this, not so much yet, because we might have to start opening this to fit around the mast, depending on the mast. So this is going to be nicely, the outside, nicely sanded and varnished by Nico with the palm sander. then installed. Mwah. Hey, yeah. I love how the other two are two types of wood, and you can really see the joint. Now, as I was using lots of scrap wood and looking around the shipyard, the only pieces I found for this, without even noticing, are just 2 pieces of ash. How boring. I'm kidding. Either way, they were fit quite quickly yesterday. I made this one too big to fit that. So now you can see loads and loads of sticking out. So I'm not going to be sanding all that away. So I'll head over to the bandsaw and do this same trick over here. So get the distance you want, use your finger, don't get splinters. And that's what we're going to cut off. Remember when we closed the boat? Anyway, today is the day they are going to launch, and this is our crib.
Easy.
Welcome to my crib. So yeah, it's going to rain this evening, so we'll see if we, like a lot. So they're going to launch. The crib's going to go in the water. The boat's going to leave, then the crib's coming out. Then it's going to do something to it. I don't remember what, and then it's going back in, and we can go on it.
Una cajera.
Ooh, lunchtime. Almoço. So this comes from, close your ears vegans, this comes from the slaughterhouse. It's the fat of the cow before it turns into meat, and what we use it for, it just comes in barrels and it gets spread on all the wooden, I would call them sleepers, all the planks that are lying on the floor, so the wooden crib slides down and up a lot easier. And also I've heard that this is something that's good to put on the prop to protect it, so you can apply it while you can apply any grease on the prop underwater while in the water to protect it from barnacles. But then I was thinking, aren't there fish that just come and nibble all this off?
Se botar graxa, ela tranca. A graxa ou parafina tranca, e o sebo não. Ele esquentou, ele divisa.
So he said, if you, this is good, if you put grease or paraffina, it jams. This, when it gets hot, especially the sun, it becomes very, very slippery. Anyway, Nico now is going to varnish, or put the first varnish stroke on the jaws, and I want to see when the varnish, the paintbrush goes from one wood to the other, and you can really see the seam. Have a look. Whoa. Shall we just hang this on the wall and not use it?
Whoa. So cool.
Same here, anti-skid settle, just in case we step on it, that we don't slip off it. And yes, we are still going to countersink the holes, but that's going to be later on. We don't wait at all with protecting the wood, because if you leave it here, it starts drying out, shaping in a way you don't want. So as soon as we're finishing with something that's wooden, we either put paint on it straight away, or in this case varnish, and then it's protected. It will get damaged still, and when it's on the boat we can add some more coats. That's just protection of the wood. That looks so cool. close to having these done. Having these done, finished and mounted, fastened onto the gaff the same day or close to the day that we launch would be epic to just leave them aside and start doing other stuff.
Then we haul out.
Haul out, what did I say?
Launch.
Launch. My brain is already fried, we haven't even lifted it. And most of this, well, not most of these doors are just made with wood from behind the boat. Most of the wood that we used for these jaws is just from wood that we found under boats, so it's really, really cool. The reason we could do that is because they're quite small pieces, so let's try and do this as much as possible. Ah. Today is the day. We'll see what the rest of the day folds, how it folds out. Somebody is launching, and we're going to take their crib, and then not only will we have finished all that stuff in the workshop, but we can start so many other jobs. There's engine work we want to do, really want to do, but we didn't want to do it in the water because what if we need the engine now, you know? So once it's lifted, we unlock endless possibilities or endless items on the list. Literally endless. What's that about?
Hey! Nikki. Hello.
Ó. Desliza, ó.
They are taking down all the scaffolding around the boat, so they are going down any minute, which means we are running on a clock right now. And one thing I would love to have ready is, well, you've seen me fasten the jaw on this one. This one hasn't been touched yet, and the jaws are ready. So before we lift, I think it'd be really, really cool to just have those two gaffs ready, so I don't have to work on them too much later. I would love to just fit them and adapt them. So if we could get that done right now, I'm even gonna stop talking because we're on a deadline, and then later when the boat is launched, we can start working on the anti-fouling and stuff because there's gonna be some priorities coming up. This is gonna look beautiful. man. How cool does that look? We've pulled both screws out that side a bit, so this can be sanded and varnished, and then we can do the same on the other side. But what is missing is the tumbler. I can't believe I remembered the name. So the tumbler is going to go in, and then all the rest of the inside, which means making sure it fits on the mast properly, and all the rounding is going to happen once we know it fits for sure. But this tumbler already has its spot, so let's get that in. Batería no aguenta más. You can see this boat has practically been stripped naked from all scaffolding. There is an extension cable that's being rolled up. There's one more ladder. Time is soon. We're expecting a torrential downpour later that might interfere with today's launch. Either way, if it doesn't happen today, it's tomorrow. A little break from the drilling because the battery ran out, but there's a secret hole in the wall where batteries come out of. It's a secret battery replacement hole. Look at that. Okay, it's like a vending machine. Bye. If there's anything annoying about being at the shipyard next door and not on the shipyard, is that if you forget something or if your batteries run out, you have to go all the way around. In this case, MP could help me out. But still, being there, working next to this shipyard, still beats working at Anchorage. Because if you forget something, you're jumping in the water into the dinghy, heading to the town, and that just takes, you lose a full day. So that was probably the last battery swap through that wall until we left.
The shipyard is a strange place when you're between tasks. We're working in the dust and heat, but our eyes are constantly on the water.
Now is the moment. Fresh battery for us. We're going to finish them. They're doing the last touch-ups of paint, so no more stalling.
Everything we could do on the ground is finished. The gaffs and the jaws are ready to be fitted. We've built a new rig with our own hands. And now comes the most stressful part, getting an 88 feet boat out of the water without using any wheels or cranes. The tide is finally coming in, the winch is warming up, and Yabá is heading for the dry. See you in the next one for the big lift.